As I'm sure you heard, former FBI Director James Comey was indicted last night on 2 felony charges, lying to Congress and obstruction of justice. This just several days before the statute of limitations would have kicked in, which makes it even better. And it's long overdue that the Republicans start giving the Democrats a taste of their own medicine. I don't want to hear this crap about being a principled conservative and not sinking to their level, because they have changed the rules. And if you bring a knife to a gunfight, because those are the rules that they've established, because you're so principled, you're not going to engage in the same kinds of tactics that they are. Lawfare and information warfare. Of course, anything but violence, they're the violent ones. That's where we draw the line. Then you're going to continue to lose. And if, or when rather, the Democrats get back into power, they're going to continue to go by their old playbook. So I don't want to hear any of this crap about, oh, but if we do this to them, then they're going to do it back to us when they get into power. They're going to do it to us anyway. They've been doing it to us anyway. Here is James Comey just one day after Joe Biden was inaugurated, calling for lawfare against Donald Trump, wanting to throw him in prison.
Convict him, bar him from future service, have the prosecutors, the local prosecutors in New York, pursue him for the fraudster that he was before he ever became president, lock him up for the garden variety frauds he did there, but don't give him that center stage, that dominant role in our national life just down the street where Joe Biden is trying to heal this nation.
Oh, you mean to persecute your political enemies? Well, we got the memo. How you like them apples?
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No. I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
So he's going to try to weasel out of this saying he didn't ask anybody in the FBI to leak any information to the press. He asked a friend of his who wasn't in the FBI. Now, don't get your hopes up that he's going to go to jail. Don't even get your hopes up that this is even going to go to trial. I wouldn't be surprised if the courts throw this case out. President Trump did complicate the matters by publicly posting on Truth Social just a few days ago, telling Pam Bondi to indict James Comey, Adam Schiff, and Letitia James, which the defense is going to use as evidence of malicious prosecution. You know, the Democrats and the liberal media always accuse President Trump of talking like a mob boss, but mob bosses don't lay out their plans in public like this, and President Trump probably shouldn't have either. But it is good that the Democrats are finally getting a little taste of their own medicine. Let's not forget how many people in President Trump's orbit, including himself, were maliciously prosecuted. Adam Schiff is extremely concerned that he's going to get indicted next for mortgage fraud along with Letitia James. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm utterly shocked that they even did indict James Comey. But they both committed mortgage fraud, lying on their mortgage applications, claiming that the loans that they were getting for their house was for their primary residence when it was for like a second or a third home. And people get a better interest rate on a house that's their primary residence that they're living in than a house that's like a rental property, because they're there to, look after it all the time instead of having tenants in it. So we all know that Adam Schiff had been hoping and praying and calling for President Trump to go to prison for years. But my, he has certainly had a change of tune.
On the day Donald Trump leaves office, the Justice Department may indict him.
Very strongly in favor of indicting the president when he is out of office.
I don't think the incoming president should be threatening his political opponents with jail time. That's not the kind of talk we should hear from a president in a democracy.
Well, Schiff, for brains, we pretty much were a communist country there for 4 years under Joe Biden, and God willing, President Trump will be able to restore at least some semblance of what a great country we were. And in communist countries, you're not allowed to question or doubt the outcome of their sham elections, or question really anything from the government, especially if they want to inject you with something like a vaccine, a supposed vaccine. And thankfully, we saw YouTube back down and start allowing people to question the outcome of elections again. Really, that's because President Trump won, and they didn't want to look like hypocrites with so many of those lunatics claiming that President Trump stole the 2024 election. So they eliminated their, election questioning policy. And since everybody knows about COVID-19 lockdowns and the vaccine, now they lifted that ban as well and announced under congressional pressure that they're going to allow some, they said, accounts to be reinstated who were censored and banned from those bogus policies. And so yesterday, if you saw my video, Alex Jones decided to test the waters and started a new YouTube channel. And then just within, I think, like 12 hours, he started late on Wednesday night. And then by Thursday morning, it was banned again, showing that YouTube are total hypocrites. They released a statement without mentioning him specifically, saying, "We've seen some previous terminated creators try to start new channels. To clarify, our pilot program on terminations is not yet open." Okay, well, when's it gonna open then? It's still against our community guidelines for previously terminated users to use, possess, or create other channels, and will terminate new channels from previously terminated users in accordance with these guidelines. We'll have more to share on the limited pilot program soon. Limited. It did make some headlines, and Nick Fuentes followed in Alex's footsteps, also created a new channel on Wednesday night, which was also soon banned early Thursday morning. Not enough headlines, though. Not enough people rallying behind their return, and others who have been banned for wrongthink. Other than Vivek Ramaswamy really stepped up and issued this statement.
This is a message for the leadership of YouTube. Frankly, I probably could have called you privately, but I think it's better to just talk about this in the open on this particular issue. My understanding is in the last 24 hours, you locked the accounts and shut down the accounts of two guys, Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones. They have big followings on the American right. I think it's better if you just unlock those accounts and let the guys be heard. And I say this not because I'm some particular fan or vice versa. At least one of them, Nick, is probably not a particularly big fan of mine. The reason I'm asking you to do it is that censorship isn't good for America. It's antithetical to our culture. And we're the country on God's green earth where we're able to talk to each other in the open. And I want to credit YouTube and Google and your parent company and so much of your competitors in Silicon Valley for creating the first instance of the free and open internet with search engines. It's a beautiful thing for democratizing speech. But I think we take a step in the wrong direction when we choke those same technologies that allow us to access open debate and open ideas. It breeds discontent. It breeds frustration. It actually breeds mistrust. If you tell people they can't speak, that's when they scream. And if you tell people they can't scream, that's when they tear things down. So I think free speech is a precondition for peace. It's a precondition for the scientific method. It's a precondition for our shared unity, our shared national identity as Americans.
Well, that's very nice of you, Vivek. We'll have to talk about you wanting to flood America with millions of your fellow Indians through the H-1B work visa loophole another time. But credit where credit is due, because I haven't seen any politicians, any brand name conservatives in the mainstream conservative ecosystem rally behind Alex and others' return and call YouTube out for banning them again. Like I said yesterday, this was Alex's plan, to back them into a corner, to make them show their hand. And so now many in the liberal media are very concerned, like Gizmodo, a tech blog. YouTube is going to regret this. announcing that they were allowing people to come back that they had banned for questioning the outcome of the 2020 election and COVID and other things, saying you're never going to satisfy these guys. Well, they will satisfy us when you restore every single channel that you banned under the guise of supposed hate speech and medical misinformation and election integrity. And speaking of cowardly conservatives and their timid support for free speech, have you seen a single one of the brand name conservatives ever call out Amazon for banning any of these books? They've called out Amazon for banning that one book about transgenderism. Even Ted Cruz denounced the censorship. But starting in 2019 and then ramping up in 2020, they banned a whole bunch of books that were often critical or even praising for their incredible influence a certain ethnic group, certain group of people in America. Like The Culture of Critique by Professor Kevin McDonald, a sociology professor from California State University, Long Beach, or Martin Luther's book about his disagreements theologically with Judaism or with Jews. You can just read that title for yourself. That's the actual title of the book, which was published like 500 years ago, but was banned from Amazon about 5 years ago. Martin Luther, the guy who, nailed his 95 thesis on the, church door and started Protestantism, right? Can't read what he had to say about a certain group of people, including several books by David Duke, including his autobiography. Now, I'm certainly not endorsing these books, but as an avid First Amendment supporter, as a big book nerd myself, as an author, I think it's especially atrocious that the biggest bookstore in America has banned numerous different books and that the mainstream conservative pundits and talk shows and podcasters have been completely silent about it. I recently sent a text message to a certain podcaster. I'm not going to name his name because I don't want to call him out like that, but everybody knows who he is. He used to work in the mainstream, and I congratulated him for his bravery speaking out on various taboo issues in mainstream conservatism. And then I gave him a heads up and I said, by the way, are you aware that Amazon has banned these books? And he responded, yes. And denounced it privately in a text and said that's why he buys his books from abebooks.com, which is another alternative independent site, along with thriftbooks.com or betterworldbooks.com, and some of them may also be available on eBay. I mean, I'm certainly not endorsing these books, nor telling you to go and buy them. I'm just, as a media analyst, reporting which websites haven't banned them. But still, this individual hasn't talked about the book bans publicly. I've done several videos, usually around Christmas time, highlighting Amazon's book bans. The list is just too long to include in this video, so just go look up some of my previous videos on the topic. Speaking of books, of course, you can order mine, surprisingly still in stock on Amazon in paperback or hardcover, haven't been banned, but get them while you can. Those who have read them can attest why. But if you just want to sponsor my channel with a little tip, and support my work, click the Buy Me a Coffee link down in the description below. It's a great service for people to tip their favorite content creators because the super thanks and super chat feature on YouTube takes like 30 or 40% of a cut. So Buy Me a Coffee is a much better way to do it. So click the link in the description below, head on over there and check it out.